Hello friends, hope you all are doing good. In the previous video, we had learned about the basic concepts and terminologies related to the economic survey and budget. If you are yet to see that video, then the link to it is given in the description box. Please click on it. In this video, we will be covering the first chapter of the economic survey, that is, the state of the economy. Let's get started. In this chapter, the economic survey evaluates the performance of the Indian economy during the past fiscal year and presents an outlook for the upcoming fiscal year. Basically, it is the preface of the document and covers points from all subsequent chapters. The chapter first mentions the shocks that have hit the global economy since the year 2020. The first shock that it mentions is the pandemic induced contraction of the global output due to reduced demands and disruptions of supply chains. The second shock is the Russia Ukraine conflict, which caused a worldwide surge in inflation. The third is the synchronized policy rate hikes by the central banks led by the Federal Reserve of the United States. This has caused an appreciation in the US dollar against most currencies, thereby widening the current account deficit or CAD and inflation in net importing economies. Now, what is current account deficit or CAD? Basically, it is the deficit that arises when a country imports more than its exports. The fourth shock that the economic survey talks about is the global stagflation. Now, what is stagflation? Stagflation is a state wherein there is low or negative economic growth rate, high unemployment, and high inflation. As a result of this, the nations around the world are feeling compelled to protect their economic space. This has slowed cross border trade. The fifth shock is the slowdown in China due to its own policies. Example, the zero COVID policy. The sixth shock is the adverse impacts of COVID-19 pandemic, such as the loss of education and income. For example, we know that during the outbreak of the pandemic, many migrant workers in cities left for their native places in rural India. This has caused a loss of education for their children and also loss of income for their families. This has also adversely impacted the Indian economy. All these shocks have led to lowering of global growth forecast by the IMF. In its October 2022 World Economic Outlook edition, it lowered the global growth forecast from 3.2% for the year 2022 to 2.7% for the year 2023. The first major challenge presented to the Indian economy is the inflation. The inflation was already high post the outbreak of COVID pandemic due to massive fiscal stimuli and ultra accommodative monetary policies, which began as a response to pandemic induced slowdown in 2020. The ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict further strengthened the inflationary pressures that the global economic recovery had triggered. This inflation primarily began in advanced economies, which then caused inflation in emerging market economies. As we can see from both these charts, the chart on the left presents the rise of inflation in advanced economies in matters of food and energy prices. The chart on the right presents the inflation in emerging market economies including India. We can see that the Indian inflation has hovered more or less around 5% from February 2021 to December 2022. If we look at the CPI inflation data of the country from February 21 to December 22, then it can be seen that the country's retail inflation had crept above the RBI's tolerance range in January 2022. It remained above the target range for 10 months till November 2022 before returning to below the upper end of the target range of 6%. Now, can you name the committee which recommended the target range to be adhered to by the RBI in matters of inflation? Please write in the comment box. The first factor that has contributed to high inflation in the previous year is the high commodity prices in the international market. The second are local weather conditions such as excessive heat and unseasonal rains, which caused the food prices to be high. The first measure taken by the government to control inflation was the cut in custom and excise duties of some commodities. This has made their imports cheaper. The second was restrictions imposed by the government over the export of some essential commodities. The RBI too, like other central banks, raised the repo rates and rolled back excess liquidity from the economy. The second challenge to the Indian economy comes from depreciating rupee. To curb inflation across the countries of the world, a cycle of monetary tightening has begun. The Federal Reserve has raised the interest rate by 425 basic points since March 2022, that is 4.25%. It can be seen from this graph that the interest rate hike by the Federal Reserve has caused a staircase-like pattern since February last year. Inflation and monetary tightening has led to hardening of bond yields. Now what it means? Hardening of bond yields simply means that the yields are rising. We know that the bond yields are inversely proportional to bond prices. Now, since the yields are rising, the bond prices are declining. This has further caused the outflow of equity capital from these economies. The foreign investors are pulling out their money from these economies and putting it into traditional safe havens, that is, the US. We can see from this chart that the foreign portfolio investment equity flows during January to December 2022 has been positive only for a few countries such as Brazil, Indonesia, Japan, and Malaysia. For most emerging market economies, it has been negative. In Indian case, we can see that the net foreign portfolio equity investment has been negative to the tune of minus 20%. This has caused the appreciation of US dollar. The US dollar index has increased by 16.1% between January to September 2022. This has further led to the widening of current account deficit and inflation in other economies, including India's. The third challenge before the Indian economy is the widening of current account deficit or CAD. We already discussed the first factor contributing to widening of CAD, that is the appreciation of US dollar. The second factor is the Indian growth momentum remains strong. However, the global commodity prices are also elevated. As a result of this, our imports will be more costly. On the other hand, because of the slowdown in global economy, the demand for goods and services shall remain low. This shall hamper our exports. As we can see in this chart, the current account deficit for India has been rising since the first quarter of the fiscal year 2020-2021. It continues to rise and reach a massive proportion in the second quarter of the fiscal year 2022-23. The current account balance which tried to regain during the first quarter of the fiscal year 2021-22 further fell and is touching new lows during 2022 and 23. The fourth challenge to the Indian economy is the global stagflation. Rising inflation and monetary tightening led to a slowdown in global output. The global PMI, that is Purchasing Managers Index, which is basically an index which provides information about current and future conditions of a business, has been in contractionary zone since August 2022. The yearly growth rates of global retail sales, industrial production, and global trade have significantly declined in the second half of 2022. The fifth challenge is the loss of export stimulus. It is further possible as the slowing global economic growth rate and trade shrinks the global market size during the second half of the current financial year. If we look at this table, it presents the core debt of most major economies. The core debt of non-financial sector is compared with the changes during the second quarter of 2008. Why? Because it was during this quarter of the year 2008 that the subprime financial crisis caused by the bankruptcy of Lehman Brothers investment bank in US began. The major cause for this financial crisis was unsustainable debt. Therefore, this table has been prepared to measure how sustainable the debts are. If we look at the table given for India, then we can see that the debt of household sector is 36% of the GDP during the second quarter of the year 2022. For private non-financial sector, it is 88% of the GDP and the government debt is 82% of the GDP. The total debt of core non-financial sector in India is 170% of the GDP. This has declined by 7% as compared to its debt in the second quarter of the year 2008. Whereas if we look for other economies, for example the China, then the debt of non-financial sector has increased by 155% as compared to that of Q2 of 2008. India is thus one of the few countries whose debt burden has declined during this period. What are the reasons for it? The first is that the country's banking sector balance sheet has cleaned up, majorly because of the reduction in non-performing assets and the corporate sector's deleveraging exercises contributed by faster insolvency and bankruptcy procedures under the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. The chapter discusses two major themes under this title. The first is the job creation and the second is the social welfare. As regards to job creation, as per the data of periodic labor force survey, the urban unemployment rate has declined from 9.8% in second quarter of the year 2021 to 7.2% in Q2 2022. As we can see in this chart, the urban unemployment rate increased post March 2020 due to the outbreak of the pandemic. It touched a high of 20.9%. It then declined subsequently. However, it further increased a bit post March 2021. Even before the end of Q2 2021, it started declining and it touched a low of 7.2% during the Q2 of the last year. As regards to improvement in rural welfare, the chapter presents a chart for National Family Health Survey to indicate some parameters. During the National Family Health Survey 4 conducted in the fiscal year 2016, The proportion of stunted children was 38.4%, which declined to 35.5% during the NFHS 5 conducted in the year 2021. Similarly, for the proportion of children who are stunted, it was 21% during NFHS 4 and declined to 19.3 during NFHS 5. For the children who are underweight, it was 35.8 during NFHS 4 and declined to 32.1 during NFHS 5. The chapter also talks of MG Narega, that is Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, under which 60% of the fund allocated was spent under the head Works on Individual Lands. This is to indicate that more expenditure is made towards the creation of capital assets such as canals, wells on people's land. The chapter also talks about the Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi and the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, which have contributed significantly towards reduction of poverty in the country. The chapter iterates that despite numerous challenges to the Indian economy, the growth rate of Indian economy shall remain resilient and India to witness a growth rate of 6% to 6.8% during the upcoming fiscal year. The first is the rebound of private consumption, which is basically the consumption by households and private sector. If we look at this graph, then it can be seen that the private consumption declined post the fiscal year 2020. But during the last fiscal year, that is FY23, it again climbed high up to the tune of 60% of the GDP. This has given boost to production activity and also seamlessly replaced the export stimuli as the leading driver of growth. What are the reasons for this steep climb in private consumption? The first major reason is near universal vaccination, which has enabled people to spend on contact based services such as restaurants, hotels, shopping malls, cinemas, etc. The second factor contributing to the resilience of the Indian economy is high capital expenditure. The capital expenditure of the union government has increased by 63.4% in the first 8 months of fiscal year 23. Like the central government, states also have a larger capital budget supported by the center's grant in aid for capital works and an interest-free loan repayable over 50 years. We can see in this chart that after remaining stagnant for almost 3 years, that is from FY19 to FY21, the capital expenditure of both the union and the state governments has increased rapidly in FY 2022. Three developments support this trend. The first is the significant increase in the capital expenditure in FY23 as well as its high rate of spending by both the union and the state governments. The second is the direct tax revenue collection have been highly buoyant. What is the buoyancy of a tax collection? It is simply how a tax revenue behave correspondingly to the GDP growth. That is to say, if the tax revenue increases in proportion to the GDP growth, then the tax is said to be buoyant. There has been a similar increase in GST collection. From this chart, we can see that the direct tax revenue declined in FY21 because of the impacts of the pandemic. Since then, it has been increasing and it reached to a tune of 8.7 lakh crore during FY23. Similarly, for GST, it first declined in FY21 and since then it has been increasing, touching almost 12 lakh crores during FY23. The third is the pickup in private sector investment since January-March quarter of the year 2022. The third factor contributing to the resilience of the Indian economy is well capitalized public sector banks, which are ready to increase credit supply to sectors across the economy. The fourth factor is the credit growth to MSMEs. The credit growth to MSME sector has been over 30.5% during January to November 2022. A significant scheme contributing towards this has been the Emergency Credit Linked Guarantee Scheme, which was announced in the fiscal year 2021. The fifth factor is the release of pent up demand in housing sector. From this graph, it can be seen that the housing credit growth rate has been increasing since the last quarter of the year 2022. Consequently, housing inventories have declined, prices are firming up, and construction of new dwellings is picking up pace. This has stimulated innumerable backward and forward linkages that the construction sector is known to carry. The universalization of vaccination coverage also has a significant role in lifting housing markets because it facilitated the return of migrant workers to cities. On the basis of all these factors, the Economic Survey projects a GDP growth rate of 6.5% in real terms. The chapter concludes with a statement that during the fiscal year 2023, Indian economy has recouped what was lost, renewed what had paused, and re-energized what had slowed down during the pandemic and since the conflict in Europe.